I'm excited to welcome our next guest, who will be making her RIZIN debut at RIZIN.53 on May 10th, La Máquina Asesina, Katie Perez. Katie, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So you've been a pro fighter for nearly 8 years now, but I would like to begin the interview with how you started your martial arts journey. You began karate at age 5, following your brother's footsteps. So let's start there. Do you come from a big martial arts family, or was it just you and your brother?
Yeah, more just me and my brother. Well, actually, it's not entirely true. My aunt and my uncle were both very high ranking taekwondo artists, and I always wanted to like grow up to be like my aunt Cindy. She's this like the coolest lady, and my uncle Will's amazing as well. So I have to give props to them as well for inspiring me in that way. But mostly, it really was I just kind of copied everything my brother did, and he took a karate class. I was like, I want to do karate, and it wasn't really for him. He did it for a few years and kind of moved on to something else, but I just kind of stuck with it and fell in love.
That is really cool. And by the way, do you have a big family, like other siblings, or is it just you and your brother?
Just the two of us, but we make enough noise to try to think for a big family.
Super cool. And how long did you do karate for?
Wow. I did that like all throughout my youth and then all the way up through college. And then anytime I was in town after college, so like on summer breaks or after I graduated and I came back to Greensboro, I actually continued teaching with the school, my car karate that I initially went to. So like I just like this was my school. And I loved it. I did every class that they had. They opened a jujitsu program right before I went into high school, kind of like the end of middle school. I want to say like I was 12 or 13, and that's when I started jujitsu. But I started all the way back with the Chinese kempo when I was little bitty.
Wow, that's super cool. Really like full circle moment. That's awesome. I
Yeah.
guess what gave you the push to do jujitsu? It was just because it was there, or you took a liking to it?
Probably mostly like I liked all the parts of karate, and the way our school was kind of broken down at two, like they had the sort of the striking sparring, we had the grappling separate, and then we had like techniques and katas and forms and like the really sort of longer expressions of the art, which I also loved, and kind of went through phases of my life where each was like spoke to me more. But jujitsu, I always loved the grappling, and I've always been very small, and grappling, a lot of that kind of size strength differential can be overcome and mitigated if you're skillful enough. So I was really motivated to use that art form. I think that was a big part of what made me love it so much. I do consider myself a fully rounded MMA fighter. I'm not like a jujitsu person who does some striking, or like, I'm an MMA fighter who first fell in love with jujitsu, and that's what brought me in to the MMA gym because they had a jujitsu program, and I was like, sure, I'll do everything. Here we are.
That's really cool. And you're a black belt now, right?
Yes, I was honored to be awarded my black belt a little while ago, and it's one of the greatest accomplishments of my life. I genuinely cherish it.
Yeah, I always ask black belts if they can recall like when they got their blue, their purple, their brown. I always ask like if they can remember each step along the way. Can you remember when you got each belt?
I can actually, and it's interesting. So when I started jujitsu, I was like 13, probably. Yeah, because I broke my arm when I was 14 in jujitsu, and then like had a year of doing jujitsu one armed because I wasn't gonna not go to class. So I always loved the art of it. And even after I kind of fell away during college because life got a little crazy on me, when I came back to training, I had already been awarded my blue belt by my initial instructor, Mike Carr, and he unfortunately passed away not too many years after I came back from college. I started taking on more and more classes to help with the school as he was stepping back for his health, and unfortunately, he did pass away. And in that, I kind of sort of lost my tether to that school in a sense of I wanted something more, but like more serious is not the right word because traditional martial arts absolutely has its place. But it's not the same as MMA. It's not the same as this kind of more visceral self-defense aspect. And there was something missing for me. So as I kind of drifted a little bit away from that in his absence, because he was such a big part, such a formative part of my traditional martial arts experience, career, life, whatever you want to think of it. I became very fortunate. I just like bumped into somebody one day who invited me to. It was called Combat Fitness at the time. It's the Institute of Human Combat now, leveled up, and I once again just kind of completely fell in love and I don't know if it's like the loyalty was like beaten into me as a kid or something, but I'm like I couldn't dream of training anywhere else. It's Coach Grand Prix, the Team Phoenix. It's like it's my home, and yeah, I definitely do have a special place in my heart for every step of that jujitsu journey. It's kind of like an odd feeling to me that I came to my current home, to the Institute of Human Combat as a blue belt. Because I kind of felt like, oh, I haven't trained in forever. I really don't really deserve this. And my coach was very adamant. He was like, your previous professor, coach, instructor, whatever you want, awarded you that, said you were a blue belt, and I'm not going to take that away. And you should respect and honor his recognition of your skill and where you're at, and retain that. So my blue belt was given to me by Mr. Mike Carr, and every other step has been with my coach now, who I just call coach, honestly, more than anything else.
No, that's really cool. And yeah, I was gonna ask if it was like a day one thing. You've always been at the same gym, but you answered it beautifully there. I saw on your Instagram that you have a tattoo on your left arm that you designed yourself.
I do. Actually, both of the tattoos on my left arm. Hang on, jacket because I'm always cold. um, this phoenix is a little bit of an homage to Team Phoenix, but it was also representative of me breaking free. You can see this. Whoopsies! You can see this chain in the back, and it's shattering. I always have struggled with expectations and fulfilling them for other people, and kind of living my life for other people. I had like really complicated feelings about getting a tattoo because I always wanted one, but then I kind of had this feeling that it was going to be like, I don't know. I was there's a lot going on there. There were kind of like some social pressures of like, oh well, don't do that because then it's permanent. You can't take it back. And I don't know. My mercurial self was like, I don't want to commit, but I do want to commit to these things, especially this concept of breaking free of being fully myself, which is something I've always really struggled with. And this one's just really cool. I just always wanted like an arm guard to have armor on. And it's got references to Lord of the Rings and Assassin's Creed and, nerdy stuff that I like.
Wow, so you're into video games as well.
Yeah. Well, kind of. I enjoy them, but I don't have time to play them. So like once in a blue moon, I'll break out Assassin's Creed or Prince of Persia or something fun and just like log a little bit of time on it, but it's pretty rare.
Yeah, I can relate. Yep, life happens, and you don't have as much time as you do before. So absolutely. I wanted to ask. I want to dig a bit deeper there. I guess what kind of makes you feel that way, that you had to kind of always live up to other people's expectations? Just tell me more about that.
I think early on, I defined myself by that external validation. Like I did really well in school and I got a lot of praise for that. So I was like, oh, I'll just like be a little Miss Smarty Pants all the time. That's what I'll do. I'll like make that up my personality trait. I don't know. I don't want to put it on anyone. So it's not like, oh, this happened to me in my youth and suddenly I felt that way. But like I over time learned to define my self-worth by what other people thought of me. So I would make things for other people and go out of my way to facilitate things for other people. And like I made my whole life about like making other people's lives better. And I got like the warm fuzzies when they would thank me for that or praise me for that or appreciate me in any way, shape, or form. And there were absolutely people who just like totally used me. And in a weird way, I was okay with that because at least I was useful, which is really sad now that I'm thinking about it. um, yeah, I kind of lost sight of my own value as a human being. And I think that some of that's just kind of like the process of growing up. Like it doesn't matter how confident you are as a little kid, you know, like things get kind of drilled into you and ground into your psyche deep that, you know, the world doesn't care about you and you don't matter and yada yada yada. And like all these things. And in college, I met some amazing people and I worked really hard and really enjoyed the process of school. You know, I'm a complete nerd. I love school. I love classes. I love learning. But I 100% would define my success and my value based on my grades or what my teachers thought of me or what my friends thought of me. And I completely lost that sort of inherent human value. And it wasn't until I started training MMA seriously that I started to find that again. I think it's something that we all have as kids, and life just kind of sucks out of you if it can. And you mustn't let it because it will. But yeah.
Wow. No, beautifully put. I know those types of questions can be difficult to answer sometimes. So I do appreciate you, really going in depth there. I guess was art and martial arts, was that always the outlet for you to kind of to deal with those emotions?
Um, yeah, arts have been at the center of who I am forever. I picked up a violin around the time that I started with martial. Well, a little later actually. I think it was. Yeah, I don't remember the age I was, but I was definitely not 5 when I picked up violin. But I've always loved playing music, violin, guitar, piano. Those are kind of my main three. I paint. Um, I've always been into writing and reading. Those have been, in a way, those things were my escapes from the world, but they were also the most grounding activity I could do. Playing music makes me feel like myself. Painting kind of puts me inside my body. Martial arts really puts me inside my own body. So I can be a little bit untethered from this world sometimes. I can be really sporadic and random and easily distracted, and I can just kind of get swept up in the currents of life and in other people's lives to the point where I wasn't living my own. But art has always been the most central part of me. And it's everywhere. You know, it's in the cage. It's in body mechanics. It's in the expressiveness of the million and one different ways to hit an armbar in jujitsu. It's in painting. It's in drawing. It's in writing. So yeah, I mean, art was an outlet, but also I don't even want to say expression. It was just like my existence is that act of creation, is that artistic, and it's balanced. It's balanced by the destruction. I'm also can be really destructive, which fortunately MMA is a good place for a destructive person because you want to put that somewhere useful like a cage and not in your personal relationships or something. But,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, it's been a balance of destruction and creation, and that's kind of been what life has been for me. And absolutely, it's like the center of me, but it's also the driving force, and it's also the direction I want to go. So kind of cool. It's kind of cool to be aligned for once,
Yeah.
heart, body, and mind.
That is amazing. I want to ask about your talents as a musician in a little bit, but speaking about creation, destruction, you sketch like right before your fights, don't you?
Yeah, I actually have a number of sketchbooks that have kind of like over the years filled up with sketches from when like the week before or like when I'm cutting weight or even just in the back before I get to fight. And some of them are terrible because I've got gloves on and my hands are wrapped so I can barely control the pencil. But it's more about connecting to whatever that inspiration or that energy is than rendering technical drawings, which is good because they're not great. I enjoy it though.
No, it's really cool. I was looking through your Instagram and I saw that. Do you have something you like to sketch normally, or does it just whatever comes to you in the moment?
Definitely whatever comes to me. Like there are a few themes that always come up. I do a lot of like I don't know what the word is, like bifurcated, like where one side is different from the other, like a
Mm,
beautiful a beautiful face, but also a wolf, or something like that, where it's broken down. Um, I think there's something about duality that really speaks to me, so that shows up a lot. But that's more of a concept than like a specific thing. Like, oh, I draw dragons. I like drawing dragons, mostly because no one can tell you that they're wrong. But and also dragons are just inherently cool. But yeah, yeah, it's just kind of random. It's like whatever comes to my mind.
no, that's super cool. And yeah, speaking about your talents as a musician, do you like moonlight as a musician? Is that like your second career? Because you play the piano and the violin both so beautifully.
Oh, thank you. How did you know that?
No, I saw the videos on your Instagram, so I had to
Oh,
ask.
I forgot those were on there. Yeah, thank you for starters. Yeah, I've been playing forever. I'm not currently like doing anything with it professionally. I do it on like Sundays is my day of rest. It's the only day I don't train, and I'm very protective of that off time. And I do try to make a point to at least paint or play music or something that's that expressive, creative, grounding activity, just so I can like bring my soul back to a nice neutral to start the week. But yeah, I used to play in bars for fun. I would play fiddle. I used to play weddings, that kind of more classical violin style. I'm not like super well trained. Most of what I have is just like me. Like I just kind of get obsessive and play. Like I was never taught piano, never took a single lesson. But they had practice rooms at the high school I went to that had pianos in them, and the practice room was like soundproof from the outside, so you could just go in there, shut the door, and play and figure out stuff. And I would do that for hours. Like after school, my dad would pick me up, and he didn't get off till like 5:30, so he wouldn't be even to the school by until like 5:36, and we got out of school like at 3:45. I loved that. I would get my homework done in the library and then jet to a practice room and just play for hours. And it's really fun for me. Um, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm sure like an actual pianist would be like, "Oh my gosh, what are these? What you don't use your pinkies?" But I'm having a good time. So for me, that's what matters.
Wow. Yeah, I can say I've tried to self-teach myself piano here and there, and it is really difficult. Was music always something that you did on your own, or were you pushed by your family? Because I know in terms of like karate, you did it because of your brother and your aunts. But tell me more about that.
It's the same story. My brother picked up violin. He was taking lessons, and I was like, I want to do that. And I was like, okay, you can take a lesson after his lesson. So I did receive some training on the violin. Thank goodness, because that is a hard instrument to pick up. And I have a very supportive and appreciative family who only a little bit told me it sounded like a dying cat. Or like, why don't you practice outside today? But no, they were great. My family doesn't like make a lot of music together. Well, they're kind of getting better about that because my brother is a musician and an amazing singer. And his wife is a harpist as well as she's immensely talented. My dad has been picking up guitar for the last number of years, so it's like maybe we'll get some jam sessions together. But yeah, no, when I was younger, my brother started and I was like, I want to do that, as always. And he kind of drifted away from it. He stopped taking lessons. He stopped practicing so much. And I again stuck with it because I just kind of sink my teeth into stuff and then don't let go for the rest of my life, I guess. Um, so I started playing, and then I got into the orchestra in school, and had some cool musical gigs along the way. Yeah, just always enjoyed performing. Always enjoyed playing. Definitely held myself back in a number of ways, but uh, like, get a lot of joy from playing music and engaging with it, whether it's on my own or with a group. So.
Wow. A woman of many talents and many passions indeed. I wanna kind of tie this back into martial arts. You also take detailed notes in your training logs. I saw on your Instagram as well. Is that something that you still do to this day, or since you've gained so much experience, you're able to kind of retain that more easily?
So I definitely still do it to this day, for the record. So the easy answer first. Um, I've always been able to retain information pretty well when it comes to class. Like I said, complete nerd, love school, love any type of learning environment, particularly if it's, you know, information that I'm interested in, attracted to. So martial arts is like the tippity top. You know, I'm never bored learning about a technique or where it came from or why it works or how to get there. And then just drilling, drilling, drilling. Like I love that. I never get mentally bored of the thing I'm working on. Um, I probably do retain it a little bit better now, but I still rely heavily on the act of recording it. So I actually have several different notebooks that I work with, and one is like kind of straight notes. Think like minutes from a meeting. So after class, either that night or the following day, I'll try to like, okay, so we did this warm up, and then oh, that's right, we did this takedown, and we flowed from that takedown into this technique, and then this technique. Here's a detail about it that I hadn't realized before, or something that coach said that I never really thought about, or and so I'll kind of like break it down, and then I'll do sketches if it's something that's like conceptually a little trickier, like this leg has to be like at this angle for it to work right, or things like that. And then I have a second one that's for like training that is specific to me. So the first notebook is like a journal that anyone could read and be like, oh, I was in that class, or oh, that's last Tuesday. And then the other notebook is the one that is for me. It is a lot more psychological stuff. It's definitely still like actual drills and techniques and things that are being worked on, but it's more attuned to what are my failings and weaknesses? What are my strengths with this? What mindset do I need to apply for this to be more effective? Am I applying this when we're doing flow rounds, things like that, or when I'm rolling? So that I definitely still take a lot of notes, and I don't know that I like will ever get to a point where I feel like, oh, I got this. In a way, I'm pretty sure that the moment I do that, my like arrogance will have exceeded my student brain, and I will no longer be a good martial artist. I think it's a really big part of martial arts that you're always a student, no matter what level you're at.
Absolutely. So you made your amateur debut in 2018, and when you do the math, I believe you began your career at the age of 25. Many fans might look at that and think, okay, that's a little bit of a late start, but what was the reason you began specifically at that age?
So like, so I did the martial arts when I was a kid, and I went to college and kind of fell away and came back, and I was teaching some classes, but it was like not a focal point of my life. It was like a thing I was doing on top of everything else. And for context, my life had kind of gone off the rails. I had no real direction anymore. Like I said, obsessed with school, and then they were like, "You need to leave. You need to graduate. You go away. We're gonna start charging you extra." Because I was taking so many classes. I had there was a misunderstanding at the freshman orientation with the credit hours, and I heard 15 is like the bare minimum, and I was like, "Oh, well, we can do better than the bare minimum." So I made a point of taking like 20, 21 credit hours a semester, and no one told me that was too many until, like a year before everybody, when I'm supposed to graduate, they're like, you need to leave. You're done. I don't want to leave. So I ended up dividing my major and splitting up my focus and like picking up a minor, and they let me stay for another semester, but then I graduated. So I lost that kind of like direction of go to classes, get good grades, just kind of like keep hitting the check marks that everybody, like I defined myself by. And I was studying theater at the time, of all things, which was another part of my like kind of artistic expression life. I always loved, theater and film. So my ambitions were to pursue that, but I also I had a lot of things going on where I ended up coming back to Greensboro. I was engaged to a wonderful man who I did not marry and don't need to be in a relationship with, but I hope he's doing well. We just weren't good for each other, so I genuinely hope his life is amazing. I know mine is, so I hope the best, same for him. Yeah, I kind of was looking for direction again. I was looking for some kind of North Star. And I had 5 jobs at the time. I was essentially, for parts of it, like sleeping out of my car, like living out of my car. Like I would drive to one job, do a shift, drive to the next job, do a shift, drive to the next job, and then sleep in the parking lot, because that was more efficient to me than going all the way home and then coming all the way back. And like, I was just kind of being a vagabond and like not great, not a good time in my life, health wise, mental health, physical health, any of that stuff. Didn't have a good relationship with food. So my like self-worth had tanked, my direction was gone, and I was just spinning my wheels. And then through a series of events that I could take forever to describe, and I will if you'll let me. So like, stop me if you
Feel
have to.
free.
But, kind of the shorter version was I met somebody who was like, "Hey, you should come train at this MMA gym where I train. I'm a pro fighter. You should come check it out." You know, like guys do. And this was at a rock climbing gym, and I was kind of like, it's a cool idea, maybe one day. But I sort of like brushed it off. Like I took his number down, but I just kind of forgot about it for a year. And then a year later, there was an open mat that I would go to, but it wasn't like your traditional martial arts open mat. It was an open mat at a tumbling gym where, so there were gymnasts, there were cheerleaders, there were like break dancers and parkour guys, and there were some martial artists. And I was like, oh, these are my people. So I was connecting with people there on this like Thursday night, 9 to 11 open mat. And this became my safe haven, my sanctuary. And, well, safe haven's kind of a strong word because I definitely got injured there a number of times, but that's a different story. But there was a guy there who was like, hey, I want to take an MMA fight. I have ambitions of fighting and I want to do it. And I was like, that's really cool, man. He was like, do you want to help me get ready and corner me for this fight? And I, from a place of ignorance, not knowing any better, was like, sure, that sounds great. So we did this whole thing. Like I held pads for him in a park outside, because we didn't want to just train once a week. And then ended up driving to Virginia. And thank goodness the whole fight card got canceled because there was some kind of issue with like the paramedics not being there or whatever. I was not qualified to be his corner or coach or any of that, but I didn't know, and you don't know what you don't know. But in the process of doing this, I realized I was very ignorant about a lot of things. So I reached out to that guy. I was like, hey, I know an MMA fighter. Maybe he can help me out, or I can like go train at his gym and like learn some things. So I ended up doing that. And that was Combat Fitness, which has been renamed the Institute of Human Combat. So I walked in and I was like, hi, it's been a year, but I still want to check it out, train. I like jujitsu. Maybe I'll do the like, another Naga or something. I used to really like those competitions. Maybe we'll give it a go. And I stayed for the Muay Thai class and loved that too. And refused to leave. I just keep coming back. And about a year into training, my coach goes, do you want to take a fight? Like, do you want to do an MMA fight? You do all the training. You do like the team training, everything. And I was like, I mean, I wish I could, but that's for badasses. That's for like fighters are a whole different breed of people. He's like, and he goes, no, they're just people who work hard to be good fighters. That's it. Like, there's no magic. There's no like caste system where you're born into it or not. It's just, if you want to be a fighter, you just got to fight. And that really kind of struck me because it was something that was so much of a dream of mine that I didn't even dare to dream it. It was so beyond me, but it wasn't. That was just a lie I had told myself, or the world had taught me, and I believed. And I think that's really true of a lot of things in life. Whatever your dreams are, or whatever you want. That the only difference between a dream and a goal is action, is a plan. And I was in a place. I was very fortunate to have someone who had the experience and the knowledge and the understanding to form a plan. And all I had to do was act. So that's kind of all there is to it. We've just kept doing that. And trying to trust the process. And here we are. And it blows my mind, the opportunities that I've been given. And it completely, like, I'm in awe. I'm staggered to have this chance to have been invited to fight for RIZIN, like RIZIN, the birthplace of martial arts. I don't know. It's so very cool to me that this was something bigger than my dreams. I never had ambitions as high for myself. And every step of the way, I've been really reluctant to embrace that. I've been like, oh, well, I won that fight, but that was like a fluke. I got lucky or something. Or I won that fight, but I don't know. I'm still just an imposter, and one day everyone's gonna know. Everyone's gonna realize. Um, I would get praised on performances that I was like, that was terrible. I'm so much better than that. Please don't tell me that I'm good or that I'm tough or I'm cool. Don't tell me these things when I know my performance didn't deserve that. But opportunities continue to come up into my path, and I don't know if it's because I'm being like cosmically rewarded for just keeping my head down and working hard. I know it's got a lot to do with how much work my coach puts in forming connections and relationships and putting things together for us and kind of paving the path ahead of us. Um, but I just every day, one foot in front of the other, I keep walking on that path, and amazing, beautiful things keep happening. So it's something that I always wanted, but didn't think I could do. And then one day I had the opportunity in front of me and I just took it. And here we are.
Wow, that is truly incredible. I have to ask, during this time in your life when up until you joined the gym,
Mhm.
did you even have time to continue training, or did you take kind of a decent gap in your jujitsu training?
Do you mind rephrasing that question? I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, sorry. So like during this time when you were very busy, you were working so many different jobs up until you rejoined like the open mat and you started training jujitsu. Did you have time to even continue your training that whole time in jujitsu or no?
I mean, not really. I would sporadically get some training in. And like I said, I was still teaching some classes, so like in a way, you're still brushing up against material when you're teaching it. It's not the same as getting the reps in and getting the work in. And obviously, the things I was teaching were traditional martial arts. It was Chinese kempo. I did teach a jujitsu class, but it was for kids, so it's not exactly the same as like competition or MMA level jujitsu. It's not the level that's different. It's the application. If there's no strikes, the styling is different.
Mm,
If it's not a self defense scenario, like sport jujitsu is a completely different beast from
mhm.
MMA jujitsu. So I wouldn't want to say that like I was training seriously then at all. I would say that until I walked into combat fitness, until I walked into the school I'm in now, um, I wouldn't even have considered that as training. It was just I was doing stuff that I liked, but not seriously, not consistently, and not with like a bent towards competition.
Mhm, mhm, I see. Oh, so that was one of your jobs, is teaching martial arts.
Yeah, one of the 5 part-time jobs.
If you don't mind me asking, what were the other jobs?
Oh, sure. I also taught a youth theater program that I had written, and it was my program, called The Building Blocks of Theater. I worked in a coffee shop. I was a barista, cake decorator type person. I worked for Imagine Design and Production Studio, doing like think of like stagehand work, any type of technical stuff for live performances, whether that's a concert or a TEDx talk type deal or a dance show or anything. Like there's just like a million applications for that. Doing kind of like pickup work with them. And also I worked for the Greensboro Coliseum, which is like our kind of big arena for Greensboro. Big. Um, but doing the same type of work, lights, sound, that kind of thing. So,
Wow. And so would you say once you kind of started gearing your training towards, like your coach said, he wants you to begin competing, when did you, I guess, start dedicating more of your time towards an MMA career?
um, I did it fairly soon. So I was doing all those things for that kind of, I think there was like a 6 month to a year period where I was doing all the part-time jobs and training at the gym. And one of the part-time jobs, I ended up working at a 9 rounds, which if you're
Oh,
not familiar, pardon?
no, I was just saying, yeah, I'm familiar
Okay.
with 9 rounds.
Okay, yeah. So like a cardio kicks situation. Not serious martial arts training, but fun fitness. Yay. It was actually I started training like working out there. I just wanted to exercise, and I was like, oh, 30 minutes, that's perfect for me. And I liked it so much, I kept coming back all the time, and I was always in there doing all the challenges. And they're like, "Do you want to work here? 'Cause you're here all the time, every day." I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I'll get paid to work out. Works for me." Um, so that actually was one of the jobs I totally forgot about until you said that just now.
Yeah.
Um, while I was training there, I had an opportunity to go work for an airline as in their shipping and receiving department. And I had worked in aviation before. My dad has always worked in aviation. So, and like even growing up, that was a world that I was familiar with. So when I had the opportunity, it's like, oh, this is like much closer to a full-time job, and it's going to give me more opportunity to train. Yeah, I'll take it. So I completely dropped all of my part-time jobs all at once. I still did a little bit of pickup work, but like only because I was still in the habit of, again, defining my worth by how much work I could get done, how many things I could do. So I still did a little bit of that, but eventually it dropped off because training is so intense and so demanding of your energy that I didn't have access to all that extra energy anymore. So I just kind of was like, yep, we got to focus. So probably within a few months of taking that first amateur fight, I had zeroed in on one job, with a little pickup work on the side. Gotta hustle. I actually had a really crazy experience where, again, learning to speak up for yourself or advocate for yourself. They were going to change my hours at the airline job where I was working, and they were going to conflict with training. I was basically not going to be able to attend classes. I was like, that doesn't work for me. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm going to go find something else. And in that conversation, my manager was like, well, hold on a second, because we like you working here and you're a hard worker, so let's figure something out. And I actually got promoted to a purchasing job. So
Wow.
it kind of worked out. Like it was way better pay and hours, and it all worked out in my favor. Just saying, no, training is more important to me, so I'm going to leave. And they're like, well, don't do that. And then I worked there for another year or so, and then kind of a similar thing happened. The company was going to move down to Florida. I was like, well, my gym is here, and I like my gym more than my job, so I'm going to stay here in Greensboro. Thanks for the opportunity. I'm out. And I ended up picking up a welding job. And it ended up being great. I did that for a couple of years. I enjoyed the experience. I got a lot of cool, like, life things happen during that. And I had a boss that was really understanding of my schedule. I left work. I always left the construction site early so I could make it to the gym on time. And he was like, works for me. And then that job kind of came to a natural conclusion, and I ended up back in aviation, where I'm very fortunate to have a position that allows me to focus on training, essentially more than my actual job. And they're super understanding, and I appreciate them immensely. Like I can't even put into words how much that means to me to have like the financial security, a job that I really enjoy, because I do feel like I'm building something. I'm helping to build something that I'm a part of. Like that's satisfying and fulfilling. But also, it lets me 100% focus on my job. Like this past week, I was like, hey, I got to get some last minute stuff done. I'm not going to be in the office, sorry, for a lot of the day. And they just were like, okay, sucks for us, but okay. I'm like, oh, they're very, very understanding and awesome. And I owe them like donuts or something. I don't know yet.
Wow, that is incredible. No, you're absolutely blessed to have the opportunity, to have such a flexible, employment. And obviously many fighters, especially early in their career, they kind of have to juggle, but it seems like you're in an excellent position now. That's great to hear.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm incredibly blessed, and I'm incredibly grateful for it.
Wonderful. So yeah, no, thank you for that very, very detailed explanation. So even as I guess, for lack of a better term, relatively late starter in your pro MMA career, your grappling background really reflects in how you finish your fights. 6 of your 7 wins have come by submission. You've never lost by submission. And your pro debut, let's jump into your pro career. Your pro debut was a baptism by fire, wasn't it? Facing Jillian DeCourcy.
Yeah. Oh man, that was such a cool experience. And honestly, it's funny because Jillian and I have like struck up a friendship in the wake of that, which is really cool. I love fighting. Like it's this intense, crazy thing. You're trying to kill each other, trying to break each other, separate each other from their consciousness, and then after it's like, hey, we're cool, right? Yeah, totally. Like because I don't know, I love that. But it was definitely a strong start, and I learned a lot of lessons, like don't completely wear yourself out shadow fighting like a demon for an hour before your fight. I was so excited, and like the adrenaline was crazy. It was even more than it had ever been before. It's like, it's a pro fight. I have to go crazy. And Yeah, there were some errors, but she's also just a very tough, very strong opponent. So, um, yeah, that was an honor, and it was an honor to get to fight for the troops. So, like, got to walk out of a helicopter. That was badass. That was a lot of fun. I would do that again in a heartbeat. I would love to run that back. I know she's just retired and gotten married and been promoted in jujitsu, so she's got cool life things going on. She doesn't want to punch face anymore for money, which it's cool. I respect it. But she was a great opponent to have as a first opponent for sure.
Really cool. Yeah, of course, Julie DeCourcy eventually going on to become the Invicta Atomweight champion, and yeah, so a very very difficult fight for your pro debut. So in the first half of your career, you put together a winning record, but afterwards, from August 2022 to May 2024, it was a bit of a difficult run. I believe the streak was 1-6. All but one of your losses were by decision. Several of them against fighters with perfect records themselves. Did you get discouraged at that time, or did you take a lot of learning lessons away from that time?
Yes to both. I think there's just discouragement inherent in loss. This sport has the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. Losing feels like the earth is shattered and the sun will never rise again, and everything is over, and your whole life's work is worthless. It sucks. But and getting on a losing streak is terrible. Because there's always things you could have done different, things you could have done better. I didn't fight as hard as I could in that moment. I missed that opportunity, and I hit it in training a million times. Why didn't I just go for it, or why didn't I pull the trigger? So yes, of course I got discouraged, but it was the kind of discouraged that makes you want to work harder, which is a little bit. I'm not going to say it's a problem, but for me, I make the error of I'll just work harder instead of working smarter sometimes. That's been a struggle that my coach has been really trying to help me navigate, and I think we're kind of we're dialing in on it. We're dialing in. Absolutely, there have been lessons to learn from every fight, whether it was something that I should have learned the first time, or it took me 2 or 3 bad experiences to learn. Yeah, I should have learned quicker for sure, but I don't regret taking chances, and I've never felt like I was just outclassed, couldn't have won that fight, didn't belong there. And we've never picked opponents. Like you said, my pro debut was Jillian DeCourcy. Like, what? I've just never been bothered by that, because it's about fighting for me. It's about taking the fight. It's about fighting myself, and my opponent is like the avatar of everything about me that I hate, so that I can try to destroy it and not let it beat me. So I think that's probably why I don't take anything too personally when it comes to fighting with my opponents. Like, we're cool after, it's fine, because it's in my mind. Really, it's not them I'm facing. It's like my lesser self, my darker self that wants to win every day. And it's in the little ways, it's in the little like weaknesses of the mind or the heart, or it's in the big ways, those kind of, like life destroying ways that just rear their little ugly heads and want to take over. And again, you mustn't let them. You can't. I think that's probably why I've never been too terribly concerned with, like you said, being a late starter. Like, oh, you didn't do like MMA from when you were 7 and start your pro career at 18 and, get going fast and furious. It's never been about like the numbers for me. It's never been about looking good, being some kind of superstar. It's fighting. It's fighting my own demons. It's bettering myself. It's martial arts as a way of life, and competition fighting is just sort of a microcosm of that. It's just a really intense, distilled moment where you get to see. And all of my losses have been connected to character flaws that are present outside of fighting. They're the things like not following up, if I don't follow up on some kind of paperwork I need to do, I'm gonna not follow up on a combination that I need to do. If I'm hesitant and too indecisive and not pulling the trigger in a fight, in life I'm being indecisive and I'm letting life pass me by. So these things are all interconnected, and they're like just expressions of themselves. So yes, losing all those fights in a row really hurt. Um, and there was like a point where I don't know if I'm ever going to taste victory again. But I'm also very fortunate to have a coach who he shouldn't have to. He shouldn't have to believe in you when you don't believe in yourself. You should always believe in yourself the most. Like you should be your number one cheerleader at all times. But I have a coach who's so good at what he does and so good at like creating pressure environments that are not for the faint of heart, but they are for people who want to achieve greatness in their lives. Um, to the point where I was in a fight once and I sat on the stool in between rounds. It doesn't matter. I think it's 2 and 3 or 1 and 2. It doesn't. It was 1 and 2. It doesn't matter. I was sat on the stool, and in my mind and in my heart, I'm like, I don't think I have it anymore. I think maybe this is it. And then I imagined telling my coach that while he's giving me instructions, like handing me water and like icing the back of my neck, and like he's doing all the things and he's talking to me, and like I'm listening, but there's also a part of my brain that's saying these defeatist things. Like, I think this is it. I don't think I have it anymore. I don't have like whatever it is. And I imagine telling him that. I was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna go fight this woman instead. We're gonna go see what happens. And I ended up winning that fight because I was just willing to. I was like, you know what? I don't even care anymore. I'm just gonna let it go. And I did, and I won that fight. So there's a lesson in there too for me. But yeah, I have never had a fight where I didn't show back up at the gym as quickly as humanly possible. Whether it was like the Monday after, or if we were still traveling the Tuesday. I just you just go back through the door. You just get back on the mat, and you just keep doing what you do, and you keep learning. And hopefully it doesn't take you too long to learn stuff, which it did and has for me. And I'm probably always going to be that person, unfortunately. But I absolutely can achieve greatness, and I'm going to. So all those failures, they're just part of the story. They're just part of it. Probably shouldn't have happened if I'd had my ducks in a row, but I didn't. And here we are. So the story keeps being written, and I have the pen. So that's where we are.
Absolutely. No, very beautifully put, very detailed. Of course, from there, in your last 5 fights, your results are much stronger. 3 wins by submission. One of them actually against a name and a face that some RIZIN fans back in the day might remember, Andy Wynn. She competed before. And then your most recent win came in February this year when you submitted Alice Mikulkiewicz, I believe is how you say her name, with a rear naked choke. With a rear naked choke. That was out in France. It was your first time fighting outside of the States, if I'm not mistaken. Do you feel like getting the chance to experience competing internationally before coming out to Japan will help you as you make your debut here?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Getting to have that experience, it has removed a lot of the like insecure like question marks of how are we going to handle food? How are we going to handle the last training sessions? How are we going to like it's removed a lot of the uncertainty for me. So I have a lot more confidence. I'm a lot more relaxed. I'm a lot more calm regarding those sort of logistical things that could be a nightmare if they go wrong. But it almost feels, I'm not going to call that a trial run. That was for real. That happened. That was a real fight against a real opponent. She's a dangerous lady, and I super appreciate her taking that fight against me. And but it almost feels like that was again, I don't want to say trial run or practice run, but it was a run up to make this experience a lot more streamlined, a lot more comfortable. I know what travel pillow I like now for the airplane. I completely just like passed out last time when I had the right travel pillow. I was like, great, now I know. So everything from like the little stuff that you wouldn't even think about, but came up last time has, I think, prepared us for this.
Wonderful, wonderful. And tell me more about the moment that you actually got the call to fight in RIZIN.
Oh man. Okay, so this is a little funny. I was getting Shark Tank that night. So, and like my teammates jumping me. I'm trying to do like fight simulation. And right before that, my coach was on a phone call during class. He is never on a phone call during class. That is not a thing that he does. So I already knew there was something weird. And I was like, okay, it's usually like related to an opportunity for somebody. It could be something really big for one of my teammates or for me, or it doesn't, or it could be something related to the school. Hope, something he's got going on in his life. But I was like, something different. Something's off. And then he gave us some like different rules. Like, hey, I don't want you throwing elbows, but you can throw knees to the head on the ground. And I was like, what? This is different. And I just kind of thought he was messing with the rules, and I didn't put it together because I was just focused on, staying alive and applying my fight training with my teammates, all trying to kill me. And then, we got to the end of that, and he's like, all right, you guys, the rules were different tonight because Katie's been offered a fight with RIZIN. And then I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't like conceive of this. This is insanity. This is like a dream come true. This is crazy. So yeah, it was very surreal, and I was like physically exhausted. So I was really sort of broken down in that moment. So to hear that was very surreal. And ever since that, and it's just been like an ember in my heart, like just on like waiting to burst into flames, just like really right there and raw and present. So it's very cool. It's very, very cool.
Beautiful. Yeah. Obviously, your opponent in your debut is going to be Kate Lotus. Watching the footage on her and doing your research, what is your impression of her as an opponent?
So it's funny. I haven't watched a whole lot of her, and I almost never do for my opponents. My coach does extensive research and, programs my training around that as needs to be. We don't really game plan for opponents because as a school, our kind of philosophy has always been be the strongest you can be. Don't try to be like an anti somebody else. Because even if you had like 6 months, say I'm going up against someone who's like crazy good at wrestling. So for 6 months, I focus on anti wrestling. Well, she's had her whole life to get good at wrestling, and I've had 6 months to focus on it. So that's foolishness. She's going to win that. But if I'm me, and I'm the person that's been training for, well, my whole life, but seriously in MMA like that 8-ish years, then now I have something to bring to the table. So I haven't seen a whole lot of her. I usually watch one fight to remind myself, okay, they're human too. We're good. That's all I need. I just need the reminder that she's a human being. And that's it, because, you spin stories in your head like your opponent is a monster. They never get tired. They have just cinder block hands. They're crazy fast. And then you watch them, you're like, oh, you're a person. Like you're an athlete for sure. But yeah, so I haven't watched a whole lot of her. But I mean, just off the top, she's real cute. Like, she seems really sweet. I've seen a couple of her interviews, and I don't understand Japanese, but she seems very like warm and friendly and sweet. So I was like, oh, you're a cute person. I have to respect her. I have no idea. I think the second you stop respecting your opponents, the fight is over. You have lost. You don't have to fear them, but you do have to respect them. That was a mistake I've made in the past, and I lost the fight where I didn't have that respect there. So I will never do that. I will never underestimate. If she's fighting for RIZIN, she's got skills. She's got presence. She's got what it takes to be a badass fighter. So I'm gonna bring my best to deal with that.
Wonderful. And it's no secret that Kate Lotus is going to be the hometown favorite. But in your last fight, you also managed to silence the crowd with a win in the opponent's backyard. As we kind of bring this interview towards the end, do you have a message to Kate Lotus?
Thank you for taking the fight. Thank you for doing me that honor. Please keep yourself healthy and strong and make it to the fight all in one piece, because I know training can be crazy, so that we can put on the best performance of the night. Let's bring our best and be the fight that everybody wants to talk about.
And lastly, a message to the RIZIN fans in Japan and around the world.
Oh man, am so honored to get to fight for you. I'm so excited. I won't let you down. I know you are some of the best fight fans in the world and have this incredible history and this incredible respect and appreciation for the art of martial arts, the craft of it. And I want to be a worthy participant in that art. So I will be bringing my best. Do expect excitement and violence and everything I have to bring to the table to secure a win.
Beautiful. No, Katie, honestly, this was an amazing interview. I wish we could go on for another hour, but we're
Oh
running short
man,
on
yeah,
time.
time goes by.
No, thank you so much for your time today, and I'm looking forward to meeting you on Fight Week.
My pleasure. Do you mind if real quick I say a quick thanks to some of the people in my life?
Oh, of course, absolutely.
Thank you. Um, First and foremost, I have to thank my coach. He'll be mad at me that I said his name first, but my coach Graham, Team Phoenix at the Institute of Human Combat. We rise together, we fight together, we train together. This we do together. It's one of us steps in the cage at a time, but we don't get there on our own, and it's important to recognize and appreciate that. For those of you who are there for me, I am there for you too. I have to thank my parents, in particular, my family, are amazingly supportive. They've been on this journey with me, and I couldn't ask for better support. And I just I love them so much, and I really appreciate you guys. Um, my sponsors, Wings Air Support, where I work, who also sponsors me. Not only are you understanding and giving and generous with time so that I can train and go off to these fights, but you also support me in as a sponsor, and I appreciate that as well. Alexa of Emil Massage, best massage therapy in Greensboro. She's amazing. I've had some incredible massage therapists, but I love Alexa, and she's my sponsor as well. As is Dr. Brown of Summerfield Family Chiropractic, the best chiropractor you're going to find. I have some inspirations that I do have to thank and who have also helped me a lot on this journey. Sheena Starr, who's been super just amazing in every way. Roxanne Modafferi, I've had the opportunity to train a seminar with under, and she's within our jiu-jitsu affiliation, and so kind of part of that jiu-jitsu family. And she's fought in Japan and like a huge inspiration to me in that way. It's an honor to be following in her footsteps as well as those of like Master Mario Sperry, who is also teaching a seminar this weekend I will be attending that is being hosted by the amazing Professor Dave Ginsburg, the school that we are affiliate editors. So it's cool. We'll have the whole family, Master Mario, Professor Dave, my coach, Coach Graham. Yeah, I'm just incredibly blessed and fortunate and appreciative. And I'm also thankful to you for having me on here tonight and giving me a chance a little bit to, I guess, share a bit about myself and connect with some people, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we truly appreciate you sharing your story with us. The fans will be delighted to learn more about you, and they will be looking a lot more forward to your fight now that they are familiar with you. So
Well, thank you.
awesome. Well, Katie, thank you so much again for your time, and take care.
You as well. Thank you again. Good night.